Let me introduce my first horror limited sponsor before the video. Fright Pack. Mystery box-like horror pack service. A $25 monthly subscription gets you Blu-ray horror movies. They try to include one independent film per month to give you something new. My February box included the indie film Clickbait. They sent me The Darkness, Elizabeth Harvest, and my favorite, Sam Raimi's Drag Me to Hell, along with those 3 indies. I would never recommend this company unless I knew you would love working with them as much as I do. This is the best time to get free movies because everyone is socially withdrawing. The Darkness Digital Edition will be given away. The first link is for a horror pack, while the second is for the giveaway. Please try them, I'm sure you'll love them. Next week's video will reveal the giveaway winner. Take me back to The Invisible Man. Elizabeth Moss plays a suicidal woman fleeing her violent ex-boyfriend in this Lee Whannell film. She discovers that his death was fake and that he is invisible after a series of strange events. Nobody believes her when she says he's alive, despite her best efforts. The Invisible Man has many suspenseful scenes without the protagonist. However, is it scary? We'll learn. Cecilia sneaks out of bed at 3:42 a.m. to avoid waking up Adrian, her boyfriend. Cecilia hopes to end her violent relationship by sneaking out while he sleeps. She displays a vial of diazepam pills to numb him and keep him asleep. She retrieves her getaway duffel bag from a closet cubby. To be extra cautious, she watches him sleep on her phone and moves a security camera toward him. After navigating a bizarre tech room, she disables the security system and turns off all cameras except the one facing him. She dithers in a dog bowl, but Adrian doesn't like her. Even though Cecilia tries, their dog won't let her outside. She sets off the car alarm and removes his electric collar. No. It appears Adrian is awake. She loses her medication while riding shotgun in her sister's car. Adrian runs to her sister's car and smashes the window, sending her running. Cecilia visits her sister's friend James 2 weeks later. James does. He tried to walk Cecilia to the mailbox because she's afraid to leave the house. Hearing a jogger, she rushes inside. To avoid surveillance, Cecilia hides her webcam while James paints. The doorbell rings suddenly. These weapons are amazing. Emily, Cecilia's sister, has great news. It turns out Adrian committed suicide. She thinks so. James's daughter Sydney shares his goals. Cecilia brings mail into the room. I think goals are important. Hello, James. Check it. You're grounding it. You'll probably cross the street next year. No one seems to notice I'm here, but Cecilia has mail. After meeting Adrian's brother, Cecilia learns she will receive $5 million and was involved in his will. That will be paid $100,000 monthly for 5 years or more. Cecilia buys James a new ladder because his old one was filthy. Despite Sydney's refusal to help with the painting, he insists on climbing the ladder to get her name envelope. Sydney can attend fashion school with Cecilia's $120,000 gift. The IMDb entry said this film was shot in Australia, not the US, which I use to find facts for my videos. However, the envelope says Oakland, California. Girl, Tyler, and IMDb celebrated, so that Fortnite dance you don't know has to go. Cecilia feels watched as she dresses. As she spins, the movie builds suspense even without moving the camera. There are so many points of focus in this shot. You keep looking around, hoping to see something moving, but nothing happens. Someone steals the knife and turns the burner on high when Cecilia leaves the kitchen to make breakfast, starting a fire and killing the bacon. I hope you enjoy it crisp. Hi Cecilia. After dark. Because she hears something, Cecilia searches the house. As she enters the kitchen, the front door opens. She goes outside despite the chill. She breathes because it's cold. The sound of her breath behind her was also ignored. A man enters her room, waking her up. However, Sydney owns the mannequin. The mannequin is a hidden reference to the 1933 film Invisible Man. Besides the great chair scene, she gets up and grabs the floor blanket. After dragging the blanket back to bed, it gets tangled on nothing. Only a few feet soles are visible. She shouts to James Sidney, who wakes up, grabs her pepper spray, and draws those guns as the footprints approach. After being asked about her previous job, Cecilia opens a suitcase and says she lost all her paperwork. Her collapse sends her to the hospital. A bandaged man is what she sees. The original Invisible Man is also mentioned. After being cleared to go home, the doctor calls to say she collapsed from high diazepam levels. She learns this in the shower. She finds the pill bottle she lost at the beginning of the movie in the sink. Cecilia and James talk to Adrian's brother the next day. James advises Adrian to listen to Cecilia until the brother understands their visit. James' reaction is priceless. "You just said what?" she asks. Tom said Adrian could read minds and that her own experiences were subjective. Cecilia visits her sister's apartment after Tom shows her Adrian's corpse photos. Emily answered the door irate after Cecilia emailed her, calling her a terrible sister who only wants money. Emily doesn't trust Cecilia's claim that Adrian sent the email. Cindy finds Cecilia crying on the floor when she returns home to console her. Sydney thinks Cecilia did it as she gets dressed. James becomes enraged and storms out with Sydney after she calls her dad, leaving Cecilia alone. Adrian intrigues Cecilia, who scatters coffee grounds on the floor to see his footsteps. She rings Adrian's number in the attic and feels it vibrate. Cecilia commits the most naive horror film act by entering the attic. However, she finds a surprise message on the phone. "See this by the ladder." Her return to the ladder and use of a bucket of paint to cover Adrian in paint causes him to fall in the film's most terrifying scene. After Adrian flees, Cecilia goes from the attic to confront him. After the agony trail ends in the living room, she continues and hears Adrian's paint washing sink. Adrian grabs Elizabeth Moss by the neck and throws her against a wall, creating a great scene of her fighting alone. She flees the house and calls an Uber to take Adrian home after throwing shattered plates. The machine from earlier in the film appears when Cecilia enters the house to find the dog. Adrian can be invisible with this machine by wearing an invisible suit, she learns. She takes the suit and the dog barks. The setting resembles Adrian's house. I don't know how he got home since invisible people can't use Uber. Regardless, she returned home. Cecilia puts the suit in the closet cubby she used to hide her duffel bag. Adrian passes her as she hides in a closet corner at the beginning of the film. He left evidence on the carpet with his footprints. After fleeing, Cecilia boards an Uber and returns to her original location. To arrange dinner, she calls her sister. As her sister enters, a waiter Dick enters. "Yes, I understand. Start with a little water. We still have free spots." "Sure, off we go." Cecilia updates her. You should trust her theory that Adrian is alive. Emily sees a knife behind Cecilia and cuts her throat after detailing Adrian's actions. Cecilia is arrested after holding the knife. She is shot while wailing at Adrian while bound to a bed in resistance. She hears Adrian say surprise just before she falls asleep. The next day, James and another interrogator question Cecilia. Cecilia informs James of her evidence that Adrian is alive. Adrian is present, so she cannot say it. James sends the other interrogator away, making her appear helliquous. James blames himself for leaving her. Cecilia suddenly learns she is pregnant from another worker. Later that day, Adrian's brother Tom visits the mental institution to inform Cecilia that her criminal record will prevent her from receiving financial support. Documents state she will lose the remaining amount. Would she have? Tom suggests that if she returns to Adrian after having the baby, this could be over. So he's known Adrian has manipulated her his whole life. What a **** hole. He offers to drop all charges, but she refuses. She burned something worse than bacon after stealing a pen and throwing his belongings to the floor. You're his aquatic equivalent. They were spy-free. She'll then be in her room. She activates the shower and tells Adrian he won't get the baby or her. She slashes her wrists with the pen she stole until Adrian stops her. His soup stops working after she stabbed him. Parts of it are visible for long periods. While she stabs him, a guard unlocks the door and Adrian teases him with his taser. Cecilia flees. Ours is wild. Imagine Adrian fucking up a guard squad. In 2 minutes and 20 seconds, 5 guards are killed or assaulted. The bang at the end is most exciting. No. Cecilia shot Adrian and pursued him outside. Cecilia searches the parking lot for Adrian in heavy rain. Adrian finds her before the guards set foot outside. Adrian is ordered to show his hands by a guard as he pins Sydney to an ambulance and threatens to kill her. Instead, Adrian shoots him. Cecilia speeds away on a 5 and pulls a man out of his car as Adrian leaves. The wall graffiti with Billy the Puppet references Saw, which Lee Wannell co-wrote with James Wan. James must return home immediately because Sydney is in danger, Cecilia says over the phone. In a seemingly empty house, the back door opens. Sydney jumps out of bed and grabs pepper spray when she hears a noise. She sprays it because she feels someone nearby, but she only sees the invisible person smash her dresser and knock everything over. Someone drops her as she flees. When James gets home, he finds Sydney choking on the floor and rushes to help. The invisible man takes over James and punches him until blood gushes out. Cecilia covers the invisible man's suit and shoots after bringing in a fire extinguisher. He passes out as Tom, not Adrian. Since you know this, I'll demonstrate Sydney's shirt's foreshadowing. To honor Cecilia's call of Tom Adrian's jellyfish, Tom wears a jellyfish shirt. We cut to Adrian's house to find a tactical team member bound and gagged in his basement. Cecilia tells James that Adrian was behind everything after hearing his news. It was his brother, he said. Stand up. After calling Adrian late that night, Cecilia has dinner at his house. She demands an honest account if he wants her to stay. James takes notice throughout. Discourse to persuade Adrian to confess, but he remains evasive and sends Cecilia an oblique message. It should come as no surprise that only you know you well enough to understand this cryptic message. She got the loft text message that caused this. She heard Adrian say surprise as she blacked out. Cecilia cries and says she'll clean up. Adrian sat at his dining room table while Cecilia wore the invisible suit. It was hidden so Adrian would slit his throat. He dies from bleeding after Cecilia calls the police. She avoids the camera and hangs up on the police. She gives the speech, then watches Adrian die, showing them his fate. My goodness. After telling James Adrian committed suicide, Cecilia storms out of the house and the film ends. How effective was the invisible man? Some thought it was too slow, but I liked it. If you like scary movies, watch this. Please watch it if you haven't. Watching the video alone will miss most of this series' less scary parts. Please like and comment if you liked the video and want to discuss the movie. Subscribe if you like related videos like I do. Tyler Style here, and I've never experienced this. We appreciate your time watching my Invisible Man scariest moments in my shiny new room. I'm excited to make scariest moments videos again, despite the extra work. Connect with me on social media to discuss horror movies anytime. I hope you enjoyed the video. Until then.